Horns up, heavy music lovers. You are listening to the Heavy Mag podcast, and I'm your talky person, Ez. Now, today I'm joined by a trio of musos from a band that is very, very loved by its Aussie fan base. So much so that their 2022 stream stats on Spotify showed Sydney as the #1 city in the world for streaming their music, and Australia was in the top 3 countries. I am, of course, referring to A Wilhelm Scream. So let's get into it. I've got Trevor, Nicholas, and Nuno here. Thank you, all three, for joining me.
Hello.
Hello. Who have I got in the back there?
Nuno in the back.
I'm Nicholas. Hey.
Hey. So thank you for taking your time to have a chat with me today then. We're going to be chatting primarily to discuss your upcoming Aussie tour, and it's been almost 7 years since we had you out here last. You guys have like a hugely enthusiastic Aussie fan base, so something tells me this tour is going to be wild. Are you physically and mentally prepared for what's ahead?
Absolutely not. No. Probably not.
We're getting started today.
That is the best answer.
Yeah, we're getting pumped. Starting with this interview.
Hooray! Because when does the tour commence? It's in March, so you've got like a month to sort of hype yourselves up. But you're also playing in like all the cities that one would expect you to visit when you come to Australia, and you're kicking things off in Melbourne. But I noticed that you're stopping at a few locations that international bands, they don't tend to go to. So like you've got Hobart in Tasmania, Wollongong, Newcastle, for example. Have you ever ventured off the beaten track on previous Aussie tours, or is this going to be like your first time playing in some of these locations?
This will be our second time playing Hobart, I think.
Yeah, we did a gig in Hobart, and it was absolutely bananas.
The more regional crowds, they might be smaller, but the intensity is just as wild.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was great. From what I can remember, like I said, there was a lot of beer getting drank out of shoes. So
the old shoey.
Wow.
Yeah, so because Tassie doesn't get many bands. Yeah. Like most Tasmanians have to jump across the water and go see Melbourne shows. So and that's what I find. I'm from a regional town myself, so when bands make the effort to come to those places, it just goes off because we're just like, yes, the thing, and we don't have to travel as far, and it's a good time.
Yeah, our good friend Misha Calgano, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's done all our shows in Hobart, and he's also the singer of Knife Hands, who we're going to be touring over there next month with.
Yeah, hell yeah! I was going to talk about your supports, but like the list is so long, and you've got Aussie supports in every single place that you're going to, right?
Yeah.
Supported.
I might list them off at the end when I do my little outro spiel, but because there's some awesome bands that you're playing with. But before I put myself off track, I'm one of those people that will start to ramble. So your job is to keep me on track, okay?
Hear that, Nick?
Okay.
Not an easy task. Have you got any extracurricular activities other than drinking beer from shoes while you're over here? Is it going to be like major tour hustle? Are you going to be in and out, or have you got some time to kick about and have some fun while you're here?
I think we might have some time here and there. Although I just found out they might be adding another show.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of hustling going on in regards to like trying to get places. But we always make time, and like we've got so many people involved on the tour that I'm sure if there's something to see or something we can't miss, that they'll make sure that we get there. But we like to go to the beach. Like we go to a lot of beaches when we have time off down there.
Yeah, and you're coming at a great time of year because we'll be just going into spring. So autumn. Sorry, I don't even know my own fucking seasons. It'll be just after summer. It'll still be warm, is what I'm saying.
That's awesome.
And in terms of your support bands, that was one of the questions I was going to ask is, do you sort of leave that up to the booking agents to arrange, or do you have a hand in selecting your support bands, do you listen to them and sort of look into them before you play, or are you just going to like turn up and get that authentic experience at the show and make new friends that way?
Well, it kind of goes both ways. Sometimes we'll request bands or some bands they'll say, "Oh, we're thinking these guys. What do you guys think?" But yeah, all the bands we have, like I'm in a serious brain fog right now, so I can't like remember all the names, but
I know there's so many.
we've been over there several times, so we got some friends over there that
I think it's important too. Like we like what we like for sure, and like but having someone there, in Australia, in these cities, in the scene there, to help out and be like, hey, this band's really good, I think you guys will dig them, or like, this band's really starting to get off the ground, and this could be a great thing for both us and the supports, like a symbiotic type thing. We put a lot of faith and we have a lot of trust in people over there, like our buddy Brock, who's setting most of this all up. So yeah, it's a bit of column A, column B, but I think as far as we're concerned, like we're very, very lucky to have solid people over there in our corner who understand their local scenes and other scenes that are going off.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of hype on Facebook. I noticed all the bands are sharing the shit out of the tour and stuff like that, and the support bands are all of varying, like you said, degrees of popularity, if that's the right word. So some are smaller than others, and it's really heartwarming, especially as someone who's also in a local band, to see guys like you come on board and just like get, gather the troops and give smaller bands a chance, which is, it's fucking cool.
Yeah, I think that's the way it should be all the time. Get a good, because you never know, like one of these bands could end up being, my next favorite band,
Yeah,
so
100%.
like it really benefits everybody, including us. Like we're the headliner, but we're still just a touring punk band in someone else's country. So it's good to get like, the local support and have people as excited as we are.
Yeah, hell yeah. So Aussies really love hearing what foreigners think of our country. So what's your most memorable Australian tour moment? And I'll let you decide if you want to give me like a wholesome one or a flat out mental punk rock experience, or maybe one of both.
I think the first time we ever went to Australia, I believe the tour started in Perth. So we did the long flight from the East Coast of the States to the West Coast, and then from the West Coast to the East Coast of Australia to West Coast. I got so hammered. I got so hammered on like the last leg of the flight that I forgot my passport on the plane. So that was a fun way to start, that tour. We got it back pretty easily, but I felt like a complete moron.
You could have just lived in Australia for as long as they took to kick you out.
Yeah, Perth is pretty nice. Not a bad place to get stuck, right?
Perth is lovely, and that's another place that a lot of bands don't venture to just because of it's on the arse end of the other side of the country. So yeah. And that was the other thing I was going to make a comment about with your touring schedule and whether you get to play around a bit, is that unlike other countries like in Europe where everything's really close together, and I believe the States, are quite similar in terms of like touring circuits, Australia is like, a handful of cities only usually that bands go to, and it's like at least a 6-hour fucking drive between one to the other, and so it like the travel time takes up a lot. Like it doesn't leave for much fun to be had, I think, and it makes it tricky. Do you guys usually plane it, or do you bus it when you come over here, or have you done a bit of both?
We've done a bit of both. I think the bulk of it has been flying.
Yeah,
we did do a few where we trekked through the outback. That was pretty wild. That was a cool experience.
Yeah, sweet. Obviously, when you've gone over to Tassie, you've probably just flown, but we do have a boat, and it's usually like a novelty thing that people do, like to spend 24 hours on the ship to go across to Tassie. So maybe you should do that this time around just for a bit of fun if you have the time.
Yeah, 24 hours in a boat sounds like a blast.
The punk rock pirate ship. So your most recent record, Lose Your Delusion, that's been out for close to a year now. But there was a 9-year gap between releases for you guys. So what gives? Why such a long time?
I just writing the record for 9 years.
It was one of those moments where you looked at your watch and went, "Oh fuck, it's been 9 years. How we better get this shit out." Or...
there was a lot of stuff going on. I mean, like so much touring after putting out. Like every time we put out a record, we pretty much are on tour nonstop. So in that regard, it's difficult to write on the road. Not impossible, but it's difficult. And then once we thought we got everything together, band goes through changes, then you have, 2, almost 3 years of, us being locked down with COVID-19 and everything. So yeah, a few things added up, but I mean, honestly, like, I think someone from D4 or some really cool band said something really cool. Like, I never signed no fucking contracts that I had to put out a record every year. Man, this is punk rock. You know what I mean? Like, I do what I want. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but yeah,
we had a lot going on. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh no, you can't rush these things either.
Building the studio, that took about 6 years.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, sweet. Oh, I want to come have a studio like that. So I imagine there was a lot of diehards waiting with bated breath for that 9-year period. And it can often be the case that with longer stints of between releases that people are more vocal and opinionated and divisive when a new record finally comes out. How did you find that your fans responded to Lose Your Delusion?
It was pretty. Our fans were the best fans ever. They ate it up and loved it. They we got almost instantly people writing, writing about, lyrics, that, Trevor wrote, like, hey man, like I was in this place too. Thank you for, putting into words, the last 3 or 4 or 5 years of my life's like kind of feelings. And like when you get feedback like that, you can't help but, it just throws gas on the fire, makes you more excited. And there was quite a bit of that. We got so much support. It was beyond even what I thought, our fans could do. They really showed out.
I think for us, I think the album that we put out, it's as wholesome as we get.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's as earnest as we get, I think. And the response has been really like heartwarming at times, and of course I did find a few negative ones. I always find those because that's just like what I'm drawn to. I'm drawn to the negative one.
There was one.
God, there was one. It was horrible. It was just like, who the hell is this guy singing? it's like me. I've been here since the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
It's like, who's this asshole singing?
Sometimes the negative ones are really hilarious though, and like you almost need to save them and frame them or put them in a little book somewhere, because it's like someone wasted their time to come up with this, and it's just all you can do is laugh about it.
The thing is, they're not wrong. I don't disagree. It's nothing I haven't said to myself in my mirror.
Right, yeah.
I hate my voice too.
Who the hell does this guy think he is thinking like that? Hell? Stop that. All right. Okay.
But to be befuddled by the fact, who is this guy? It's like, what are you talking about? I'm on every album singing.
Yeah, right? They're actually talking about me.
It was
Nick's writing that from his burner
That's
account.
right. He did the woohoos.
See, because I was about to go down a rabbit hole of how we could turn this into some conspiracy theory about how you've been body snatched and it's you, but it's not you. And they've the Avril Lavigne conspiracy where they think that she died ages ago and they've replaced her with someone else. Have you ever heard that one? You need to start something like that.
She does look like exactly the same now that you mention it. Like she hasn't aged one day.
I think she's well, if anything. I think she looks better now than ever.
Without a doubt.
Didn't the same thing happen with the Ultimate Warrior and the wrestling?
They had a fake warrior.
They had a fake warrior?
Yeah, they had fake warrior for a while.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. Fake warrior. That's a cool band name. Fake warrior.
Yeah.
Fake warrior. That's gonna be our new album. Fake warrior. Fake warrior. Show what war.
Just backtracking a little to like how to the positive and not the negative of your fans' responses, with the fact that it took 9-ish years to conceive that album. I imagine there would have been some songs that you sat on for a long time, and so by the time they actually were released, they felt really old and sort of you removed from them a little bit. So to have fans then turn around and basically say that this is life-saving for me, or this really hit home, did that give the songs almost a new meaning to you from when you wrote them to when they because I have this theory that artists will write a song, write lyrics, and I put this to myself as well as a songwriter, and then you put it out into the world and it's not really yours anymore. You give it to people and it becomes them. They can put their own spin on it, their own experiences attached to it. And so how did that feel to like kind of almost resurrect songs that were old for you, even though they're not old, they're new for everyone else? Now I see I told you I rambled and you got to keep me on track here. So just give me an answer. Tell me things. Say something.
You're doing great. You're doing awesome. This is going great. Yeah, a lot of the songs have been in the works for a really long time, but none of them got finished until we came into the studio. So they kind of stayed fresh. Honestly, like we don't really sit on songs like if it's not done until like we would not stop tinkering ever, like unless they pulled the plug, and which they sort of did on this album.
They really wanted to this last time.
They really did. A couple times they tried to pull the plug, but
you guys done right. We're like, we'll let you know.
But yeah, a lot of the songs were, like I said, they were in the works, and they were also more that didn't quite get finished.
Yeah, get fleshed out.
That we still have.
We were just listening to the other day, and like honestly, like even though I remember a couple of those songs like pretty distinctly from a while back as like ideas that were floating around or that were demoed. Every time I listen to them, I'm hyped. Like it's I'm excited for it. Like it's the first time I'm hearing them again. So the three of us, Trevor, Nick, and I, came over here to the studio the other day, Monday actually, and we were listening to some of them. Nick had written some new drum parts for some of them. And honestly, it's just like it's listening to it for the first time again. It's super exciting. It gets kind of your creative juices flowing, get you back in. Oh hell yeah! Like let's work on this song. And I feel like that was like more to answer your question. Like I guess like that's the feeling we got like while we were recording. We weren't like, oh, like remember this one, like blow the dust off it, bang it out. There was still so much tinkering going on. And song parts were being written, harmonies added, like constantly. So it's always a fresh, fun thing for us, even if the song idea or the root is 4 or 5 years old,
Yeah, sure. No, that's awesome. And I know you said that like writing on the road is hard and you're probably really focused on touring right now, but please tell us your fans won't be waiting another 9 years for the next lot of music.
You won't.
No. Now that we have the studio done, like we can get, do it more on our own terms. Writing all the time and recording all the time. So, we definitely plan on hitting it really quickly. I don't want to put a date on it because then I'll look like a liar.
Yeah, of course. And do you all live within a close vicinity to one another? So you can, and how do you write? Are you like sort of like a jam band, or do you have someone that, is the primary songwriter and then comes along with a fairly solid idea and that's when all the tinkering happens from there? Or do you guys just get in the studio and start to just like see what happens, or is there a bit of both?
Well, it's kind of hard. It's hard for us to jam. Nuno and myself and Nick, we all live in New Bedford, but Brian, our bassist, lives in Canada, and Jason lives in Chicago. Ben lives in California. So, and you know, we still kind of like do it, like, you know, come up with ideas and then show everybody the ideas that we come up with. And I try to stockpile a lot of song ideas, so
Trevor and Nick,
we get together and
Trevor and
jam
Nick
on stuff.
grew up like one backyard away from each other. They would come, like Nick would come over all the time to Trevor's, and Trevor would jam out ideas with Nick. And that's one thing that kind of has kind of remained too. So Trevor and Nick will get together a lot, you know what I mean, and flesh out, you know, the drums, the parts, you know, like that. And like kind of throw like a demo together. We'll share that, you know, through emails or whatever, and be like, hey, any ideas or whatever. And then once we get together, we kind of start piecing it together or refining it.
Yeah, but we definitely try to stay constantly writing. Yeah, especially in that way where now that, you know, we can kind of play with like the MIDI drums and, you know, on the computer and stuff. So Nick can work on writing parts, and we can kind of share ideas back and forth, like for drum beats and stuff like that as well, like really easily. That's like kind of one advantage to doing it when everybody has like such busy lives. You know, we all have careers and everything, so like we're all, but at the same time, you know, doing Wilhelm and coming up with new stuff is still super important to us. And doing a Wilhelm record, it's kind of like the way that you know, our stuff, you know, we like to present our music or whatever. It ends up taking a lot of time to put together. It takes a lot of thought into putting together. So you got to kind of be writing all the time. If you're not kind of writing all the time, and it's like, whoa, how do you do, you know, you forget how to do it. You know, how the fuck, you know what I mean? And it's like, and then it becomes more frustrating than fun and creative. So you got to try to keep it, you know, we try to keep it going. So we always have like songs in the chamber, you know. There's never okay, we're done, there's nothing, let's start from scratch. That like never happened. Like there's always like, man, before we get going, I mean, on my phone, I've got a half a dozen ideas that I haven't shown the guys yet that are like, we're talking about the tiniest germs of ideas. Yeah. But if it's an idea that I really like I'll put a whole backstory on that shit. You know, I'll be like, oh yeah, and then I'm thinking this, and then, you know, make it like the biggest thing in the world. Whereas like all you can physically really hear is just like 5 seconds of a melody or, you know, a lyric idea. So we're always ready to go. You know, I think just in the past, you know, with Mike leaving the band, that was a big kick in the balls to us, really, honestly. Like, you know, that was pretty big. He was like our partner, you know, he was like my dude, like creatively, you know, also like production wise, like doing all this stuff. So that was kind of like, I think that kind of tripped us up, and like finding a new guitarist, or new guitarists, you know, like to kind of come into the family and all that. That also took its time as well, because that's a you really don't want to rush. You don't want to rush all that.
It's also, it's, I mean, for both parties, you know what I mean? Like, it's a daunting task for anyone to just join a band and do all this stuff. But when you've got a band that, you know, and I don't mind saying so, takes a lot of pride in being technically proficient when it comes to playing these songs live and banging out more songs that are, you know, really fucking hard to play. Like, you know, that's a daunting task on both sides. So that really you know, thins out the possibilities. So that was pretty tough. But I think we're like the luckiest assholes in rock and roll. Like we were able to hook up and you know, jam with both Ben and Jason, and that's great. But it took some time to kind of get everyone back together on that after having to.
Yeah, but that is something that you want to take your time with too, because not only do you want the technical proficiency, but like you said, it's a family. So you need someone that can slot in, that isn't going to cause disharmony amongst what you've already worked for, what you've already got. That's, you know, music has a lot of people that have big egos and, you know, big ideas that clash and don't work. And so, yeah, I can understand completely why that would be a long process and one that you would want to take your time and be very careful with, because just because someone can shred like a motherfucker doesn't mean that, like, personally they're going to fit in with the crew. And sometimes that's more important than the skill level, isn't it?
Yeah, because you can work on that. You can practice parts. But if someone's dickhead, like, they're just a dickhead. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, yeah, like.
And dickheads can make or break bands for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
It sounds like you guys are in a really, really tight space right now that, yeah, it's all very wholesome.
Yeah, we're definitely like family, you know, and it's so having the people around that we've had around from the beginning, a lot of our friends, you know, still support us, still come out to shows, even though they're old like us and have kids and next day early or whatever, like those kinds of people, plus all the new people we're meeting, you know, because, you know, we're never satisfied with, you know, we're never going to sit back and kind of just be satisfied. So, you know, we're extremely grateful for everyone who's been involved. People like you know, people who help us promote what's going on. I mean, this is still fun for us, you know what I mean? And like, it, as close as we are, these kinds of things bring us together and even be closer. And it's like the best shit we got going. So we truly appreciate it.
That's and that's the most important thing is keeping it fun. It's not meant to be hard. I mean, you've got to put in hard work, obviously, but I think if it starts being hard and it's not fun anymore, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And it sounds like you guys are still having a ball. You're still punk rock after, you know, all these years and having families and, you know, that's the other thing. It's like you go through this evolution of it's not all chaos and beer and craziness. You know, you grow up, you have families, you do the thing.
There's still a bunch of that going on, to be honest.
Oh yeah, you got to find that middle ground. You got to a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then you find that happy space. And I was going to say too, with your recording and writing processes, you know, how good is technology these days too? Like you can have members that don't live around the corner and you can still get shit done. I remember the days of, like, if you didn't jam a song out at practice 25 times, you'd come back the next week and you'd be like, fuck, how does that go again? Whereas now we can just, like, it's instant. You can record something and you don't have to use your brain to remember stuff now, which could be good or bad, but mostly good.
I just started to get into using, like, you know, some recording programs on the computer, kind of old dog new trick stuff. But like Trevor and Nick obviously know what they're doing. Brian knows what's up. Anytime I have any questions, I can usually like hit up one of these guys and they'll help me out. So like during the last record, for instance, I would go home with some tracks and then, you know, be able to record myself just a scratch vocal or, you know, just some ideas and get to work on it that way. And it was hugely beneficial having this new.
Now, I just got the little Zoom message that said you're going to get kicked off in a minute because you're too poor to pay for a subscription to Zoom. So I like to conclude with a silly or fun question usually, and you can totally swear at me or call me a bad word if you've been asked this question 87,000 times already. So I'm bracing myself. I can take it. I promise you. I wouldn't be doing journalism right if I didn't annoy at least one artist a week. So if you're ready, of the 400 plus films that feature the Wilhelm Scream, which is your favorite?
Oh, geez, I don't know about 400.
Yeah, there's 400. I looked it up. for 400 at least, apparently.
Let's say Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Dude, I could have picked that. Predictable.
Yeah.
That's like what a banger of a movie.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely.
Toy Story.
Yes.
Toy Story.
Yeah. I think that one was a really clever one where they popped it in Toy Story for sure. Because there's more than one, like, because you've got the link to Indiana Jones in that Toy Story scene as well with the boulder rolling. It's the globe that rolls towards him, and it's like the bolt. Yeah, so that's really clever, I reckon. Have
what's your favorite?
I would have picked the Toy Story one because of that link as well. So yeah, have you ever featured the Wilhelm Scream in any of your music, or would that be way too cheesy?
Yeah, it might be a bit too on the nose, maybe.
I think you'd have to pull it off, make it cool.
Backwards or something.
Yeah, maybe backwards. That might be cool.
Reverse Wilhelm.
Yeah, we'll work on that. We'll hide one in there. Just like Bill Stevenson would hide farts in the blast recordings. We'll find some fart in a way that sounds like a Wilhelm Scream.
I would absolutely be okay with that being on the record.
Oh my God, my band members do the same thing, but they've gone one step further, right? And one day when we were writing, and they were like, we need to come up with a riff. One of our guitarists is a proficient farter, like he's like, and so we said, Marty, do a fart, and we'll write the riff around the fart. And he let one out that he like let it out in stages, and we haven't written the song yet, but we bring it up all the time. We've written this riff that like based on his fart rhythm, like.
All right. Already take him to the chorus, baby.
That's how my band writes songs. Like we're so very professional. Anyway, we are literally about to get kicked off. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me. And the Aussies can't fucking wait for you to be here in March.
Righteous.
Awesome. We can't wait to be there.
All right,
Thank you. Thank you.